So let's get started today with our webinar. My name is Mark Adams, and what we're going to talk about today is just going to be everything having to do with questions and answers of everything that you might need with private label selling. So with that, we're going to just do a simple format, a little bit of information in the beginning here, just to touch, and then it's going to have the floor open for questions. So we have an awful lot of people here on the call this evening, so I'm going to try my very, very best to get to everybody's questions. Please don't take it personally if I don't get to your question, because I don't know how long we're going to go, hopefully as long as we can, but it's hard to sit here and stare at a screen and talk for a long time, so we're just going to go as long as possible. So with that said, let's just, who this webinar is for, what we're going to do. Really, you're in the right place if you're considering becoming an Amazon private label seller, or either that, or you're just getting started, or you're experienced, because the beauty of this is that I get so many questions, I guess, whether it be on my blog or some of my videos, things like that. I thought it might be a good idea just to have a format like this where we could just go ahead and answer whatever questions we have. So if you would, hold off on your questions just a bit, and then as they come in, as soon as we go over a little bit of stuff here, then I'll ask you to put your questions in the box, and then I'll try and answer them the very best I can. So for those of you who do know me, I think that's one of them. If you don't, my name is Mark Adams, Mark Scott Adams, and I am a merchant. I create and sell my own private label products on Amazon. And I've been a merchant for, gosh, all the way back to 1989. So been doing this quite a while. It was funny. I had a coaching call with someone the other day, and he was in his early 20s. And it dawned on me when I was talking to him, one, how great it is that somebody that age can do that or do this. But then it just started dawning on me that I was doing private labeling before he was born. You just have one of those moments where you just start to realize you're not as young as you used to be. But then you say, well, then it's experience. But regardless, over the course of that 2.5+ decades, I have sold millions of dollars of private label products, both on and offline. And I've started and sold 6 different tangible businesses. Everything from a chain of clothing stores, a car bumper factory, a winery, I had an office supply business. So I was doing this pre-internet, and like a lot of people have moved into doing things with an internet. So right now, I guess I'm from the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Lived all over, been all over the world, but have been back home for the last 25 years or so. And now I write on how to sell on Amazon, and I try and help other people through my courses and blogs and that type of thing. So a little bit of who I am for those who don't know me. What I've got here is I want to give you some resources, and these are some things that can help you and give some other information other than the questions we're going to take here in just a moment. But for those of you who have not been to my blog, it's markscottadams.com, and if you take a look at that, I've got all kinds of things on there from some previous webinars we had that you might want to go take a look at that. That's going to be a little bit more in depth on what private labeling is and more of an explanation, where tonight's just going to be more just pure question and answers. Got lots of different information, lots of different blog posts on things on there. Got a Facebook page and a YouTube subscription button. That'd be nice if you did that, because I've actually got a series of how-to videos coming out in the not-too-distant future off of that. If you want to take some free training, just go ahead and fill out your information, or you can click up here. I had offered it to you when you had signed up on the class, but it's also a free product checklist, which is here, which we can touch on this if you want, if you have any questions off of that. But this is something that's free that I actually put together for myself when I started, but I dressed this up a little bit to be able to, for other people to be able to literally take some of the emotion out of some of the product selection. Let's see where we're here. All right. So that, just some of the different things that we have there. The free training that we had when you sign up, it's like 3 free videos where I really go in and talk about some of my experiences, and I'd encourage you to take a look at that. That might answer some of your questions as well. The product checklist that we looked at, again, that's really to validate some of your products when you're looking for your products, your markets, things like that. The YouTube channel is the address that you see here. Either you can enter my name there in the search box in YouTube and then subscribe to the channel. For those of you who might be interested in some coaching, I'm taking on a few people from a one-on-one standpoint. I'm trying to keep that very, very affordable to be able to do that, because, again, the whole reason I'm doing all this is to be able to help people and be able to have a community of fellow Amazon sellers. For those of you who, again, in that whether it's somebody starting out or you just got a question or you're already experienced and you're having an issue with something, I'll try and help you with that. The course that I have is called FBAHeadstart.com, which is the address. And really, that's my private label course and review group that we've created. So for those of you who are not familiar with that, literally just go to this page and it'll scroll down. And we have our offer a different type of course really to help you going. So different things and modules from literally helping you find the right product, setting everything up in Amazon the right way, your products, your listings, just so you'll be able to rank and get #1 keywords. So there's a unique way that we market and do all of our products. And then the advanced strategies on how to market and manage and some better other things. One of the nice things about the course that people are really, really enjoying is the fact that we've got a very thriving, acting private Facebook group. So I'm in there every day answering questions, doing things that people would have. And also, too, our members are becoming more and more knowledgeable every day and are answering questions in there as well. And then we have private members webinars as well on a monthly basis. So a little bit of that. Check that out if you're interested in kind of jump started and getting going. But let's come back here and really what let's do at this point is to see if we can just take some questions. And if you want to start typing those in a box now, we'll see if we can take those. Again, I'm going to try and take them in the order that they come, so hopefully I won't miss one. I'll say if I miss one, please don't take it personally because sometimes it can be hard here to read off of the questions here and go to webinar, the software for this webinar. So I see one here. First comment, I guess it says, Enzo says the free training was very good. Thank you. Well, thank you, Enzo. All right, here's a question from April, and I'm going to read these just as they come through, and we'll go from there. Just a point of clarification regarding the checklist. Are the numbers in the box pre-filled and should equal what's already been entered, or is this a blank checklist whereby we would fill in the values using a scale of 1 to 5 based on the evaluation of the product potential? Well, in that, April, it's intended to be, let's go back and take a look. That might just answer your questions. Where are we here? Okay. If you look at this is something that you can just print this out. You have to go down here, you can see this and just save it, or either just print, just hover your mouse down in this area and you'll be able to do that. For instance, what you do is you just take, yeah, I guess I could have done this in an Excel sheet or whatever else, but it's not that complex. Just go in and write your numbers, take a pencil and write your numbers beside of that and just get your score and then see what you get. And when you get a tally, this will tell you here. Now, I will tell you, this is not intended to be an absolute. You'll never find the perfect product. There's never the perfect market. But really, this is meant to give you a guideline just to get you going and get you started and realize certain things. If you get most of them close and your intuition tells you it's a good product, it's still a good product. So I have found that people tend to use this scoring system as an exact thing. And please realize that's not what it's for. But it's a very good and useful and helpful tool just to get you started. So I hope that answers your question, April. How much, Jocelyn is asking here, how much is the one-on-one coaching? Let me come back to that and find that screen. It's under the coaching tab that you see here. I have tried to keep this very, very affordable. There are lots of people out there, whether it's a $3,500 course or the $500 an hour stuff, which, good and fine for the select people who can do that. I just, to me, that's a lot for what that is. And I have people who pay me that for different things, but for some bigger volume people I deal with. But if you scroll down, I've kept this very inexpensive, as you can see. Do it just if you want to do 1 hour, just $137 off of that, and a little bit more per call if you want to do 2 hours, and then 4 hours into $447 off of that. So depending, Jocelyn, depending on that, again, we can answer, typically when people come in, they really want me, more times than not, people want me to just look at a product in a market and just put a different set of eyes on it. We'll take, and we can do anything from analyzing competition or talk about your marketing strategies or getting reviews, or sometimes people are stuck on technical issues, and that certainly happens to the best of people. So sometimes, again, I just, very easy, and I try my very, very best to help you on that. So hope that answers your question on that. Let's see here. Okay. All right, got a question coming up here from Lisa. All All right, when picking a name for your product, is the only place to verify it is okay to use the government trademark website, or is there another place to check? In that, Lisa, different states have different rules on how you do things. In that, you know, in the world of Google, just go ahead and type in your name and see if something comes up. You know, if nothing comes up, you're probably okay. If you just do a search, I mean, you can go and do trademark searches and all that kind of stuff, and it gets really, really complicated. But as long as if somebody else has a name registered with it, not registered, but is using the name in Amazon, it won't let you create it under that name. So do your Google search, see if anything comes up, and then go ahead and do it that way. All right. Andres has a question here. Is it easy to get approved in FBA brand registry? If you have some of the certain criteria that they're looking for. The typical way that will work is that when you launch a new product, or in this case a new brand, you'll get everything up and running. When I launched my first brand, and I can't remember exactly how long ago it was now, Andres, but I believe it was roughly 30 days, 45 days, that type of thing, where they sent me an email and invited me to join the brand registry. If you go into your seller dashboard, if you're assuming you already have a product, just go in and search. There's a little search box up there. Just type brand registry in the search box, and then it will show you exact instructions on how to register your product for your brand registry. Now, in this, you're obviously going to have a unique product, unique UPC code, and a unique labeling some type on your product. And for those of you who might not be aware of what the brand registry is, basically that's Amazon's way to designate that you own that product. If you buy a product somewhere and you put it on I was talking with somebody this the other day where they had bought a clothing item and they didn't have a logo on it. And somebody else had gone into wherever the same place they bought it and tried to basically take their box, their buy box, and try and sell a product. Because in the eyes of Amazon in that case, because yeah, he had a unique UPC, but he didn't have any way to designate and prove that he owned or did something unique to the item. So other people selling it were able to take advantage of his reviews and his efforts. But to eliminate that problem, if you do a brand registry, as Andres is talking about here, if you ever have anybody try and, for lack of a better word, counterfeit your product, and that has happened to me actually, where I woke up one day and somebody was in the little box down at the side, it was selling my exact item. So I called Amazon and I said, wait a minute, this is brand registry, this is my product, this is my UPC, and they looked and the next day that person was gone. So I presume they banned their account. I don't know. But regardless, I certainly would encourage everybody to get involved in the brand registry. But anyway, long-winded way to answer your question. No, it's not hard as long as you have all of the right criteria. Okay. All right. Tyler says, "Thank you, Mark, for your time today." Well, thank you, and the rest of you, or thank you, Tyler, and the rest of you for being here. What are the legal risks of private labeling? Well, I mean, I don't think it's really any different, Tyler, than any other product per se. If you want to create a corporate structure, a lot of people will do LLCs, which is a limited liability corporation. It's not very expensive to have done, probably a couple $100. If you were doing supplements or any product that had any potential type of health risk or danger risk, probably not a bad thing to do, off of that. But I have been a merchant for, like I said, 25 plus years. I've never known anybody who has been sued. I never know anybody to even talk to somebody who has been sued. Now, with that said, you've got to do what you feel is best. What a lot of people will do is that they will start and open up their Amazon account as a sole proprietor, and then as they get up and running, and then they'll change over to a corporation for some liability protection. I'm a big believer that there's so many little things that can keep you from getting started. Don't try and take on everything day one. Kind of let it grow, do it in steps, do it in increments, and I think you'll be fine. But it's no different, Tyler, selling on Amazon than would it be in any other format. And if anything, I can impress upon you is use your common sense, and I think you'll be fine off of that. Joycelyn says, your sales page says the purchasers get 30 days of webinars, etc. for free. How much will it cost after the first days? Well, Joycelyn, I mean, I'm doing webinars, monthly webinars for my students, and I plan on continuing doing that. I think in the course right now, I can't remember if there's 3 or 4 where we always record them and put them in there. So that's in there as well. So I mean, as long as we keep doing this, I'll keep doing webinars. So as things update, those webinars not only are question and answer webinars for our students, but also we try and take a topic and elaborate on that a little bit, whether it's finding products or something that's topical of the day. But anyway, to answer your question, Joycelyn, that's as long as we keep doing them, and it'll probably be a whole lot more than a couple off of that. Okay. Lisa has a question. Do you have any tricks to getting people to leave reviews? I email them and don't get much response. Reviews are tough to get, and I don't want to imply to anybody that they are just some magically snap your finger easy to get. It's funny. You launch your first product, you go to your family, your friends, and say, help a brother out here. Give me a review. I'm giving you this item for a penny. Spend 30 seconds to do it. And if I would have known when I started how hard it was going to be on that, I would have started a book, a comical book of the excuses I got of why they didn't review. Literally, I was always thinking, the dog ate the homework type of thing. But you have to stay on people. It's like herding cats. But to answer your questions, one of the reasons why in our course I started a review group among our members. And we've got quite a few, and I can't tell you the exact number now because I really don't know, but a good portion, not everybody has joined our review group, has taken the course by any means, but we've got enough people where if you launched a product, you could get enough reviews to get up and running very easily and get your start. So that's one way to do it. One of the other things you'll see is some review groups out there that are starting to pop up on Facebook, and you can just go do whatever the Facebook search box is for that and see if you can find some of those. Be careful of those. You get some people who will share codes and some different things, and a little bit too elaborate for what we're talking about tonight. But since you're asking about reviews, that is one way to get them. It's like kind of Forrest Gump box of chocolates, though. You don't know what you're going to get. I think every one of the reviews that my review group has put out has been 5, and that single-handedly is enough to launch a product. But you're right, Lisa, it's hard, and it's not as easy as people think, and I never want to imply that it is, but it is doable, and it just takes effort. With a little effort, a little persistence, you can shoot right up. Okay, Enzo says, what are the approximate setup costs? Inventory, UPC, Amazon charges, and whatever I still don't know about. Well, Enzo, I can tell you about my experiences, and I think it varies per person. My first product, I spent everything, or invested, I think really truly a better word, $400. That was product, that was shipping from China, and that was everything total, including promotion. So my first product, I think, was 80 cents, and shipping was about 80 cents a unit. I got 250 pieces, and then, of course, which is $400. And then I think I used 25 of those items for reviews that I gave away for a penny. And by the end of the first month, I had paid off all that $400. By the second month, I was about $700, and the third month, I was at $1,000, and I still average about $1,000 a month on that first product. I have other products, but that's what it was for me. So Enzo, I've seen people, heard people do it as little as $200, and I have heard people do it for several thousand. Now, I think maybe the better question that would help you off of that is if you decide what your sales are going to be, what you're estimating them to be. And the biggest thing is to make sure you don't run out of inventory. I think sometimes people don't get enough inventory. So, for instance, let's just say you get 100 pieces of something. Now, 250 pieces, I was fine. I had no idea what I was going to sell at all, but I went through pretty quickly and reordered very soon after that first month. But you have to factor in your lead time it takes to produce the item. You have to factor in your estimated sales, because the worst thing that happen is you do some promotions, you get up and running, you start selling, and you sell out. So just do your best to estimate your inventory and your inventory needs. Really, it's called inventory turns and business management context. But in regular, it just means I'm running out of inventory. So it's always best to do a little bit more, I think, than not enough. But to answer your question, it could be all over the board, literally. For me, it's $400, and I try not to put more than $1,000 now in any product that I do. So sometimes I've exceeded that, but that's kind of a rule of thumb that I think there are literally thousands of products out there that you can start for start for under $1,000. Great, thank you, April. You're welcome. Okay, Wayne has a question here. Are there any special requirements or things that you need to sell on Amazon if you live outside the USA? Well, that's a good question, Wayne, and it's actually become much, much easier to be able to do that. One of the things I want to show you as you ask that question, let me just see if I can pull this up here for a second. I actually have a blog post on this, and I know we have people who are from outside the United States. Let me find it here. And I want you to come in and read that because that probably will answer a lot of stuff here for you. Let me, of course, now I'm looking for it. I can't find it. And of course, it's on another page. Now, I probably passed it. You know, it's funny. We get in my, and we get to know each other and kind of get to be buddies, and you know, in my students and whatnot, they'll make fun of me all the time for my lack of administrative skills, because I know I probably have already seen this and scrolled by it, and you're saying, there it is, there it is, there it is. How to sell on Amazon if you live in the USA, outside the USA. One of the things to know in this, Wayne, is that it was very, very hard. You had to have things set up as you had to have an address in the United States. You had to have like a credit card from here. You had to have an American bank account, an American phone number. I mean, it was kind of a tough nut to crack. And I don't know when the day was, but a few months ago, they made things and changed them. Really now, all you have to have is a credit card, like a Visa or MasterCard that you can charge internationally. And I think most people have that in at least in English-speaking countries. And a bank that supports ACH, which really is wire transfers off of that, because your money will be transferred to your bank. Just a local address in that country, and then currency that's supported by Amazon. I got like a list here that you can click on and see. If you're in an English-speaking country, you're probably okay. And then a phone number, and you'll need to know your international prefix, because Amazon, when you set up an account, will send you a text message. So you'll be able to just really need a phone to be able to accept a text message. And then what's called an EIN, which is an employment identification number, which is basically like a business has an EIN here in the United States. Just follow this information that you see here, which goes to the IRS, which is the tax collector here in the United States. There's a form you fill out, and they give you a number. And then when you're filling out your form on Amazon, then you enter that number, and you're fine. So it has become very, very easy to be able to sell in the United States if you're outside the United States. I mean, that has just changed in the last few months off of that. So let's see, where were we here? So, okay, hopefully that answers your question there, Wayne. Okay. All right, see one from Antar here. Hi, I'm leaving Costa Rica and already selling a product I'm sending from here, but the shipment expenses are high. Between this and Amazon cut, much is left. Do you have any insight on this? Well, without knowing any more of the details, Antar, I'd have to know a little bit more to be able to tell you on that. If you're, I'm assuming that you're having it made in China. Maybe you're having it made there in Costa Rica. If you're having it sent to you and then sending it back to the United States, well, I mean, I'm sure you've obviously thought of having it sent directly from your supplier to Amazon. And by the way, you can do that. I mean, I think when you get your first product, you want to have it come in because you want to check it, make sure the quality is what you want, the packaging and everything meets your expectations. But once you have that done, and then you have your or some consistency and kind of a history with that supplier, then you can have it sent directly to Amazon. And not only will it be cheaper to ship, but it will get there much faster and save you that 2 or 3 days of getting and looking and sending it back to Amazon. But, you know, again, Antar, without knowing more, that's probably the best that I can tell you is be able to try and send it direct. Because, again, what you're going to find is the Amazon percentages, they're going to take 15% as a sales commission, and typically another 15 to 20% for the fees to handle the product and wherever else. So whatever your product is, and it does vary a little bit, but, you know, I always try and just tell people 30% to a third in there somewhere is what to expect. But you know, if we go back and look at the product checklist here, one of the things that I try and do in this is have a product that's small, so it won't be very expensive in shipping. Trying to have it where you get your purchase price, including shipping, for less than 20%. So I mean, you know, if you're selling a $10 item, you want to try, in this case, not have it cost more than $2. You know, if you have a higher price item, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. But I think if you do everything right the first way and trying to pick a small product and one that's lightweight and small in size, then a lot of those issues will possibly be eliminated. I don't know the size of your item and what you're doing here, again, without all the information, but try and take a look and see if you can get it shipped directly from China, and hopefully that will maybe fix what you need. Joycelyn says, thank you, Joycelyn. How do you know a product has good demand? Top 3 basic sales rank. Here's a quick thing on basic sales rank. Let me see. If any of you have seen another webinar that I do, I talk a little bit about barbecue gloves. This past summer, I was cooking out and I burned my finger, and a few expletives later, I'm thinking, you know, I don't have to do this. So I went and searched in Amazon and found barbecue gloves. And what you find if you're an Amazon seller, you're always in product mode. You're when you walk in a store, you think, gosh, could that be a product? Could that be a product? Anyway, so I went here really to buy gloves for myself, and I started looking at this market. One of the things when you're analyzing market, and again, you'll see some of this on the checklist here. We're talking about sales rank. The sales rank is under 10,000 for each of the top 3 items. Again, a guideline, not an absolute. Let's see, where are we here? When you're looking at sales rank here, this particular one is at 163, as you see down here. That's your sales rank. That means they're selling a ton. I mean, just to kind of give you a frame of reference, if something's around 10,000, you know, probably 3 to 5 a day, you know, and again, it depends on the time of the year. This time of the year, everything is slowed down because it's January, February. I mean, December obviously was much faster. So it is dynamic. It's not a static number. But looking at this, if you're somewhere in the 5,000 range, they're probably 5 to 10 a day. And as you get up to 163, you know, who knows? They're maybe selling 50 a day off of that. But what you'll find is that if you have enough products based on your own rank, based on and what you sell, you'll be able to estimate pretty quickly in doing that. And we have some other things in the course that help you pinpoint those as well. But one of the things that I want to show, or want you to think about here, Anders, is that you don't necessarily have to shoot for the #1 item. If you look at this page this is on, there's 20-some listings on this page. Now, okay, this guy, maybe he's selling 50 a day, making, you know, who knows, 15, 20 grand a month. Now, maybe more. I have no idea. But let's just say you're down here at, I have no idea. Let's pick this one right here. This is the one that I think I'm going to have to go after these people, ask them sometimes if they want to maybe to fix their listing, because this is the listing I use as a bad listing. But it amazes me. I mean, here they are at 2,492. You know, they're selling at least 25 a day, and their listing is this bad. So to answer your question on sales rank is just one of the tools to estimate what your things are. But don't get so hung up on doing the top 3 basic sales rank. So many people coming into this, they want to do that 50 grand a month type thing, which is fine. If somebody has experience, if somebody has a skill and groups and can get reviews and all those types of things, then go for it. But I'm a big believer. Start out, learn how to do this, get a product and running, get one of the thousands of $1,000 a month products, and you may find that having 5 products, each making $1,000 is enough to do what you want. So regardless, you know, anyway, I kind of got sidetracked there. The rule in my house is lose your breath, lose your turn. So I do tend to go on, I guess. But anyway, Anders, I hope that answers your question. Colin says here, do you always register your brand on Amazon when you private label? Absolutely. And it's something that literally protects you from people trying to take your product. Now, you get in the retail arbitrage stuff, there's no need to do those things because you're simply reselling existing items. But the beauty of being a private label product is that nobody over here will have the buy box. Now, in this, Mr. Barbecue Insulated Gloves, I've come to understand, I think is a national company, I believe, but because they sell to so many other sources, they're okay with people selling their buy box here. They're just doing this just really to own the, I mean, to be able to sell a few pieces on Amazon. They have different goals than most of us as Amazon sellers. But if you look here, this is somebody who is a sophisticated seller, and you got nobody over here selling their product except 2 used ones. Somebody bought them, and for whatever reason, they're trying to sell them used, which, that's no big deal. But most of the times over here, when you look at a product and you have your product brand registered, nobody will be able to come in and take your buy box, your sales page. So, Colin, I think it's absolute. Okay. Amazon also requires you to include your website. Another question from Colin. Amazon requires you to include your website URL on your brand registry application. Is there any way around this? And they also ask you to have an email address on there too. There are a lot of free websites and different things that you can get set up for a temporary basis, Colin, if you want to do that. I actually have websites for my products or my brand names, because sometimes people will go in and they'll just Google the name of the company and give you a sense of legitimacy and help you in your versions if you have a site. So, I mean, you can get the very most basic of site for nothing, literally a free site. If you can go to one of these places, like I see ads all the time for like, I think it's Wix, Wix.com. They do free websites. You can get something like that if you want. Jerry has been kind enough to print in, I think, what I believe is a link here to Amazon Seller Central, talking about for information on brand registry. Okay, Jerry, I'm trying to copy this so I can put it in the box for everybody seeing it. It's not letting me do it. I'm sure there's a way how to do it. I just don't know how to do it. I thank you for doing that, but I don't know how to be able to copy and show it to everybody. So, again, thank you for that, Jerry. But again, just go in and again, in the search box, just type in brand registry, and it'll give you all that information. As you're getting started, don't get hung up on this. This is one of the things that I watch so many people, out of they'll be great on 19 things, but they'll let the 20th thing slow them down. This is something that you don't need to get started, and just try not to get hung up with. Get your product up and running. Make sure you got your pictures right, all the other stuff right, your description. And then once you've had a chance to get your breath, and come back and come in and add this. All right, well, as soon as I see a question from April here. It says, should you register your brand first with Amazon before selling? I don't think they'll let you do that, April. They may. When I did it, was learning and stumbling through it and that type of thing, they emailed me and said, would you like to be in the brand registry? Your product fits all the criteria. So, forget about, in the very beginning, you're not going to have enough sales for somebody to come in and knock you off. Don't worry about that. Go ahead and get your product up and running, get everything running smoothly, and then come back and do it. Think of it as kind of everything step one, and then step one is 98% of it, and then everything after that is step 2, step 3, way down the road. Okay? All right. Cynthia says, will we get a recording of this webinar? I had technical problems and missed the first 15 minutes. Well, Cynthia, I guess you missed the $1,000 giveaway we gave for each person who was attending. So, yeah, we're gonna have a recording. Go back to the website. I'll probably send out an email with a link tomorrow. This is something you got to get recorded and done and whatnot. But take a look here at the website. Again, markscottadams.com, and you'll see it somewhere in here. Okay. Yeah, we'll think everybody will spend their $1,000 thinking about you, Cynthia. So don't worry about that. Do you have the brand trademarked? Asked Samuel. I do not, because I do not. Another thing to do. You can end up spending. If you want to go spend all this stuff with patent attorneys and trademarks and all these kind of things, you certainly can do it. And I'm not going to tell you not to do it. If you feel comfortable doing it, by all means. Part of the beauty of being an Amazon seller to me is the simplicity. I come from a background that when I was in 1989, I was 25. I guess I was 26. I don't remember now. When I opened up my first business, and I had leases in a mall, I had employees, I had inventory, I had build out, I had all these complex things that took me months to get started, and it was just well into 6 figures back when that was a ton of money. So, all these complexities, again, I appreciate the simplicity of what Amazon is. So again, Samuel, I don't want to tell you not to do it. If you feel comfortable, and my whole thing is, if you feel comfortable, then do it. Don't let anybody tell you don't do something. We're all adults. You got to make your own decision. I want to give you information, or better information, so you can ultimately make a better decision. But I don't think most people do. But if you feel the need to do it, by all means, again, go ahead and do it. When you go to brand your product, do you research to make sure there's not any patents? No. Because, two, there are not a lot of patented items on Amazon. I mean, for instance, if you're doing a barbecue glove, for instance, where were we here? I mean, do you really think somebody's going to patent a barbecue glove? Probably not. And it's not something, I mean, if you have something that has some complicated process and all these other kind of things where it is complex enough to have a patent, it's probably not a product that you want to try and sell on Amazon anyway. So to answer your question, I don't, off of that. But, the whole thing of it is, too, you should always be trying to make a product slightly different. I personally think it's foolish to come in and try and sell an identical product to what somebody else is doing, because there's no way you can differentiate yourself from that other competitor. You want to change color. You want to change size. You want to change packaging. You want to do something. You want to bundle something with that particular product. If you do all these things, you're probably going to have an issue with any type of trademark, copyrights, any of that kind of thing. But again, as we've said before, if you are concerned, then go ahead and pay an attorney to do that for you. Samuel, or it just trademarked? Okay, Samuel's in here. Samuel's in here? Says, I'm presuming that's something as I scroll up that you had done before. It says, or was it just over Amazon? I guess we're talking about trademarking then, Samuel, so I'm assuming the brand registry, if that's what you're asking, that it registers a product within Amazon only. Okay, I think that's what you're asking. Okay, Joycelyn writes in and says, I'm interested in only having the PL product, private label product, sent to Amazon directly. For someone on a budget looking to purchase a max of, let's say, $400, that includes shipping, will I be able to send it directly to Amazon? Would you please explain the process of sending from the supplier directly to Amazon? Thank you in advance. Well, Joycelyn, the process, whether you're sending to Amazon from the supplier or you're sending it from yourself, is pretty straightforward. The shipping is very, very inexpensive because Amazon does so much shipping with Federal Express and UPS, the post office, all those kind of people. The rates are dirt cheap to be able to send things. I have one 50-pound box that I think I sent in, I think it was like $7. So shipping is not really even a cost if you do want to have it come to you. To answer your question on having it sent directly to Amazon, it's one of those things that I can't do without looking at the page because I can't remember all the little steps. But literally what you will do is conceptually what you'll do is that you will basically, you go in, you click, and you tell Amazon that you want to send them a shipment. You tell them the size, the weight, all those types of parameters. And then they tell you what warehouse it is that you want to send the product, or they want the product. And they'll ask you to send it all over, just depending on wherever it is that they have a need for that particular product. So it won't be the same one every time. But anyway, they'll give you the information to send to that warehouse. And then you take that information, you print out all the packing information, shipping information, the barcodes, that kind of stuff, and then you give that to your supplier, and then they send it directly to Amazon. So that's basically the process. And again, every time I do it, I have to go in and just click the buttons to see what sheets, or not sheets, but what forms and the buttons on the sheet that you have to click. I can't remember without having it in front of me. But that's the general concept, Joycelyn. Don't let the shipping to Amazon concern you, though. I do think it's a good idea on your first product to have it sent to you. But again, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to do that by any means. But it will not be very expensive to do it. And I think in the beginning, that's something that will make you comfortable in the process. Okay, Cynthia's asking the difference in LLC and corporation, and also price difference. Well, Cynthia, an LLC is a corporation. It stands for Limited Liability Corporation. And I think that's something you file in each state. You know, the obligatory, I'm not a lawyer, blah, blah, blah stuff, but you can do everything online, whatever state you live in. I'm assuming you're in the United States, but whatever state you live in, just go and find the Secretary of State, do a Google search for Secretary of State of that state, and I'm sure they'll have instructions on there of how to do LLCs off of that. You can do them online. Where I am here in North Carolina, last time I looked, it was $125. It's probably not much more than that in other states, or pretty close to that across the country, but it's not an expensive thing at all. Okay. Godwin has a question here. He says, talk about insurance, finding products and locating UPC codes for private label. As far as UPC codes, you can just, I mean, I've got a link inside the course that tells you that, and I can't remember where the company is off the top of my head, but just do a Google search for UPC codes. There are companies out there that just go buy them in bulk, and then they turn around and sell them for a few cents. I think for the last time I got UPC codes, it was either 20 UPC codes for $10 or there 10 UPC codes for $20, and I can't remember. But it's a nominal expense for what it is, and you know, you just get it. It's a digital thing. It comes to you actually, or the number comes to you, and then you have it comes to you like the barcode is a JPEG image or PNG image or something, and then you just send that to your supplier, and they have it printed on the package. But just so you'll know on this, the UPC code is only required to be able to set up your product in Amazon. You're going to use it once. If you intend on selling your product somewhere else besides Amazon, you'll probably need the UPC code printed on the package. However, Amazon does not require the UPC code to sell the product. They want their own barcode on the package, and you can have your supplier print that too. If your package has a UPC code on it, you're going to want to cover that UPC code with that label. But that's pretty much the thing on UPC. Okay, another question here from Cynthia. I've heard that we kind of ask for reviews in exchange for incentives. So what is the right way to ask for a review, and is it okay to ask for a 4- and 5-star review? The terminology, Cynthia, that Amazon uses is you have to ask for, literally, it's in quotes, an honest review. So when you're asking a review, it's kind of implied most people are going to give you 4- or 5-star reviews, especially if they're friends or family, and if it's people like that, of course, there's not going to be an issue there. But if you're doing review groups and things like that, you just put the product out there, and 98% of people will give you 5-star reviews, and then you get a 4-star, and then you get one, who might be something less, but you can't really control that. As far as pricing goes, I always do mine for a penny, because I don't want anybody to feel obligated or feeling they're paying for something, and then while I'm asking them to do a review. But that's really the terminology, is that, for instance, if you had an email list or something, you want to say, hey, here's a discount code for this product, get it for a penny in exchange for your honest review. If you do that, that's perfectly valid, perfectly allowed within the Amazon terms of service, and you'll see a lot of people doing that. And because as we've talked about reviews, it's hard to get them from people who buy. And who knows, it varies by products. But somewhere 3 to 4%, 5% of people who purchase will leave a review. Maybe more, just depends on the product. There are softwares and things out there that you can use to automate that process and send an email to every buyer and say, hey, thanks for buying our product. We would certainly appreciate it if you would leave a review. And that helps some. But keep in mind, reviews are hard to get. We talk about in the course in different ways, different methods, and again have our review group which tries to address that problem. And right after, as we're talking about that, Jerry has written in, says, would a program like Feedback Genius help to get reviews? Yes, there's Feedback Genius and then Feedback 5. Again, Feedback Genius and Feedback 5. And those are two programs that do that on an automated way. And I believe they're about $20 a month. You can also do it manually if you want to sit there and which would be crazy to do, but that's some of the best money you can do is to, I believe, I'm a big believer in software, is to automate your tedious tasks, use your brain to do some of the other things. Okay, Wayne's got a question here. It says, when you were looking to find a product to sell on Amazon, do you look at products on Amazon that are in a particular range when it comes to the sales rank they have on Amazon? for instance, products with a sales rank between 3 and 10,000. I start out kind of think of the inverted pyramid, Wayne, where I try and think, one, does the product make sense to me? Does it fit some of the things? I really go through that product checklist that I showed you earlier. I look at, you'll find that as you do this enough, you'll be able to quickly go to the sales rank and get a pretty good feel for what their product sales are. And again, what that basic sales rank doesn't tell you, it doesn't tell you if they gave it away as a promotion. Let's say, for instance, normally they sell 5 items a day, but over the last week, they've been selling 25 a day. They may have given 20 of those away as a promotion, because you can't tell, because in the basic sales rank, even an item that is given away for a penny is still considered a sale as far as the sales ranking goes. So to answer your question, Wayne, yeah, you want to make sure you're doing enough sales. I mean, to answer your question, I guess the best way I can help you, Wayne, is that you have to determine what you want out of a product from a profit standpoint. You know, if you want to make $1,000, $2,000 a month, that $3,000 to $10,000 range is some competition, but it's very, very moderate. And there are a lot of markets where there's hardly any. Once you start getting up into the, under 1,000 range, you'll have some people go for the 1,000, go to make the $50,000 a month product. And that's fine. And that's very possible. I just don't think it's very, very probable. It takes a ton of money. It takes a ton of experience. It takes a ton of reviews to be able to get a product ranked that high in a short period of time. Now, Wayne, if you've already got tons of products and you're very well established, then by all means, shoot for more competitive areas. What I try and teach my students is just kind of, I tell a story sometimes about baseball. I love baseball. And actually, there was a kid in my neighborhood. He was a first-round draft pick a couple of years ago. And that was like 3 years ago. And he's still not in the pros. I think he's at AAA now. But they sent him to rookie ball. They sent him to A ball, lower A, double A. And if you're outside the country, I know you have no clue what I'm talking about. But they progressed him through the ranks, double A and up to AAA. And I'm hoping that he will be in the majors in the not too distant future. He had an incredible amount of talent, but he obviously didn't have the experience to be able to go up and play as a major leaguer. I try and tell my students that you may have major league talent, you may have budget, you may have all these types of things, but try and take your first product, take your first couple products, learn the process, learn what you're doing, go through the learning curve. And by the way, it's not hard. It's really not. It's just you have to be able to, there are little things, just subtle things that you really learn through experience. But anyway, it depends on how much money you want to make, Wayne. If you want to make $1 gazillion, go lower than 3,000. If you're happy in that range, go 3 to 10. There's not a whole lot of products I would mimic that are higher than 10. And for those who don't know, the lower the sales rank, the higher the sales volume. Okay. And Tara has another question here. Are there in America companies that are doing the actual private labeling service, sending it to Amazon? If not, it's a good idea for a business. I find many wholesalers, but not many of them are willing to do this service. Not talking about China, and I'm living outside the USA. Do you have any insight on this? The problem in dealing with the United States suppliers here in the United States market is that they're going over and getting their stuff from China anyway, in a lot of cases. So you put another person into the sales process, and it kills the margin. And it's really very, very hard to put another person in the process and still have enough money for them, and for you to be able to make the money that you need to make. So that's why the whole thing of going to China is worthwhile to do. But if to have somebody package and do things like that, maybe that is a good business idea. If somebody's listening, go for it. That's how things are started. Talking about going to China, I'm actually trying to put together a trip now where I'm going to the Canton Fair in China, which is their annual. Well, it's not annual. I think they do it twice a year in April and October, where they have like 20,000 vendors and different things, and I'm literally going over to look for products for myself and for some of my clients off of that. But if you're interested in that, depending on the stages, go ahead and Google Canton Fair and see if that's something that's worthwhile. But again, I think a wonderful opportunity to be able to do that. And if anybody is going, let me know. Who knows? Maybe we can sit there and have a chat and walk around for a bit if somebody is actually going. Okay, Tyler has a question here. What does a tax situation look like with private labeling? Are the only taxes you pay or sales taxes in various states that the products are delivered to? there's some different interpretations on this. What you're describing, Tyler, is what's called a nexus. And a nexus in government terms, or in this context anyway, means having a significant presence in a state. If you have a significant presence, then you have to pay sales tax in a state. Okay? So there are, I can't remember if it's 11 or 13 warehouses that Amazon technically has a warehouse, a strong physical presence in that state. So Amazon collects all the sales taxes and they pay all of them. I don't pay any sales taxes. Or, I mean, I don't. Maybe I'm supposed to, and if one day I get caught, I do. I mean, I try and do everything the right way. But I believe in the interpretation, which is very loosely based, saying that you have to have a significant presence in that state. So if you've got 100, 200 units of some product sitting in a warehouse, I'd have it be hard-pressed for somebody, one, you're so small they're not going to fool with you, but two, do you really think that somebody would that means a significant presence? To me, I interpret it as no, and that's my choice. If you feel that's something that you have created a nexus there, then maybe you have some other tax liability. There are people who look at this lots of different ways until it gets more clarified. It's something I have not spent a lot of time on, Tyler, other than to learn and make sure that I was complicit or complying with what I was doing and trying to do things the right way. So hopefully that answers your question there. Lisa has a question, says, what the best way to get good sales rank? Well, Lisa, sales rank is determined by your sales velocity, which literally means your sales. It's determined, well, your sales velocity plus your conversion rate, meaning the amount of items you sell per every person who looks at it. The average conversion rate on Amazon, I think, is 13%. And if you're going to do higher than that, you've obviously got a better conversion rate. I have as much as 20% on some of my products and as low as 12, 13% on some of the things. So when you do all of your title, your pictures, and all those things your right way, you're going to naturally get a higher conversion rate than the other 99% of people on Amazon who just slap something up. The other thing that is included in there is reviews. If you've got lots of good reviews or lots of reviews and they're positive, you're going to get a better sales rate. You have to think of things from Amazon's perspective. In this case, Lisa, they want to be able to sell product. Their algorithm is written to show products that they make the most money on, and they make the most money by the products that convert. So you want to do everything in your product ahead of time to be able to set that up so you get a higher conversion going in. So ultimately, I mean, there's some other things that determine sales rank, but make sure that you have those three things done the very best of your ability, and that will be your highest sales rank. Okay, Cynthia's got a question here. Lots of good questions in here. My product went live on Amazon on January 10. I've only sold 10 units since then. I had no autoresponder email set up and still don't, but am working on it. So I'm already lost the chance to get those first 10 purchasers' email. Is it okay to contact them through Seller Central and ask for a review? That's perfectly part of the Amazon terms of service. What you can't do is you can't put a link, like a link to a website or an email or something like that. If you want to go in, those 10 purchasers are still there, Cynthia, and you go in and you go through your dashboard, and I'm just trying to think of the pages you click on. I can't remember. I got to see things to be able to look at it. But I think it's in, I can't remember. But anyway, so you go into that section, and it might be under trends. The part where it shows how much money you paid, it's one of the menu tabs off of that, I think. But anyway, you go in there, and I'll show you by name what person or the people who are bought, and then it'll have contact. I can't remember the phrasing, but it's something to the gist of contact the seller. And you write him an email, something to the fact of, hey, I appreciate you doing our product. I hope you enjoy it. Would you be kind enough to leave a review? And then leave a link to the review off of that. So considering it's in January, you're right. You really, you don't want to hit them day one. You want to give them time to have product or have the product and whatever else. So Cynthia, you haven't lost anything. And again, just go ahead and email them, and you find that's perfectly allowed within the terms of service of Amazon. All right, here's one from Roxanne. What do some of the terms like T/T and LC mean on Alibaba? That's a good question there. Again, I've got another, where are we here? I've got another, where are we here? Yeah, all right. Here are some of the things, is again, a whole full blog post on that to answer your question. But to kind of give you briefly what TT means it means telegraphic transfer, and in modern terms, it really means a wire transfer. When you're dealing with some of your suppliers in China, they will want you to pay through a telegraphic transfer, which again, modern wire transfer costs about $50 to do through your local bank in the United States, and I presume it's the same in other banks in different countries throughout the world. That's very common in international business to do that. What you want to do is to be able to first try and pay with a credit card if you can, and then PayPal. You have some protection at that point. The telegraphic transfer, typically somewhere in the third, and then maybe another payment and another, either all when it's done, something like that. Realize you don't have any protection when you send it over for telegraphic transfer. But again, try and accept it this way. That's common to do that. Nobody's trying to take advantage of you if they're doing wire transfers. Just try and do PayPal if you can. I think you got 45 days there where if an issue ever does come up, you have some protection that way. It seems like most people are so afraid to deal with Chinese suppliers. And just under the for what it's worth scenario, I don't know, maybe I'm different than most people. I've never had any problems. They seem to be very anxious to do business with me. They seem to be very responsive when I send them things. And I've never had any issues, and I've never heard of anybody who's had any issues. So I think we all sometimes kind of think we're the only honest people. We're the only ones who do things a certain way. But my experience has been, short of some language barriers, which is certainly understandable. I mean, gosh, it's not like going from English to Spanish where you can learn that fairly quickly, where you just hear, you just translate it. Here you have to interpret. So their language is good enough to be able to do that. Anyway, we're talking about terms. And a couple others are LC means line of credit. That's usually used in bigger scenarios to where you'll establish a line of credit at a bank that deals in international terms. So when a certain stage of the process is complete, they'll wire money from your line of credit account. FOB means free on board or freight on board, which really literally means that they'll do everything short of shipping the product. When you're dealing with them, you want to ask what are the costs excluding shipping and including shipping. So in those scenarios, most times things come in for small orders anyway through air freight, whether that's DHL, FedEx Express. The company that one of my suppliers uses is called SF Express. I don't know what that stands for, but it's kind of like DHL or FedEx Express in China. And it comes to me in a few days, and life's good. So they take care of everything. I pay a supplier, and of course they pay whatever the freight. And I'm sure they're probably marking the freight up a little bit to cover it, which is fine. They're doing the service for me off of that. But just contact your supplier on that, and then they'll be able to answer all those questions for you. Okay, here. Okay, I got a question here from April. What would be your advice to new sellers on setting reasonable income goals to stay motivated and manage your expectations? Well, I joke sometimes, April, that I'm going to get a big sign, and I guess since you can't see through the screen, it doesn't matter, but it is write the word on there, it depends. Everybody is different. I talk to some people who want to make $500 a month to give themselves a little cushion. I talk to people who want to have multi-million-dollar businesses. So the only thing I can say on this is start and work backwards. If you want to make $1,000 a month, and we'll use that as a benchmark, I mean, I think that's a great way to start. 10,000, whatever, insert whatever number that you want. Figure out a product that you think can make that kind of money, do that product, and then do all the things you're supposed to get. And if you do all the things you're supposed to do, and you pick the right product going in, and you follow the right steps as I teach, then you should be fine in getting and doing that product. So as far as staying motivated, I think part of what motivates me, that is a funny story that happened last night, as a matter of fact. I was sitting on the couch flipping channels. I do most of my work. I'm an early morning person. Anyway, I was sitting there flipping channels, and I looked at my seller dashboard, and I was looking to see what my sales have been and how much money I made for the day. And I was flipping channels, and a Clint Eastwood movie came on, an old one. It was the one. It was the one with the orangutan, Clyde. I don't know if you remember that one or not, but it had to be a 30-some-year-old movie. But I had forgotten how funny that movie was. That's the one where Clyde just beat up everybody. It's a funny movie. Anyway, Clint's beating up everybody, being typical Clint, 2.5 hour movie, whatever it was. And then I picked up my phone to look at my dashboard again after the movie was over, and I had made like $300. that's kind of motivating. You tend to sleep well when you do those things. It's a running joke in my house of my wife will ask me, how much money did you make me at the grocery store? How much? We'll go out and eat sometimes, and we'll look at the phone before we sit down or when we sit down, and then after dinner we'll look at the phone and see if we paid for our dinner or not. To me, that's very, very motivating. So when you start making money, I don't think there's anything more motivating than that, than getting paid with passive income. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, I'm sitting here getting paid to watch a Clint Eastwood movie. I mean, you can't do much better than that. But anyway, April, I hope that's a little bit of insight in there that once you get going, this is hard. Everything's hard, but it's doable. And once you get there and you start making some money, it just snowballs and you get all excited. Billy has a question here. It says, to give an idea of what's possible, are you willing to share how many products you currently sell and what your average monthly profit is? No. I talk about one product off of that, and I use that as an example. But, Billy, I'm of an age where talking about money was not in the public eye. I realize we live in a world of Facebook and all those other things now, and Twitter, and being infamous for doing things that are stupid, and talking about how much money you make to me is crass. And please don't take that personally, but I just don't talk about finances. I'm not of the belief that that's a good thing to do. So I hope that doesn't bother you, but I choose not to. All right, Enzo says, thank you, Mark. How do you do international shipping? Well, I think we covered that a moment ago. That's something that you have sent directly from your supplier to Amazon. And I know I'm going to mangle your name here. Please forgive me for doing so. So I'll spell it. ELMDAHME. I hate it when people mangle names. I don't want to. Please don't take that personally. Could you go over where I'm supposed to put in the UPC on the item? Do I just set it? Do I just send it to the supplier and they know what to do? Well, on all things, you have to instruct them on what to do, because realize they're not just selling products just for Amazon. If you send a good email, or better yet, you take a picture of something and send it to them as an attachment and say on the back of the product in the bottom right corner, I want this particular barcode. And then they'll put it on there however you want. Now, what you'll find is that if your supplier won't do it, you can send it directly to Amazon, and then they'll put that on there for you. So, I think they charge 20 cents. I think it is. So if your supplier charges more than that, well, then have it put on Amazon. But that's how you do it. You just have to be and all of these things. These suppliers they have a base product. They'll change it. They'll change color. They'll change packaging. They'll change the internal. I'm having a product worked on now where I'm changing it from a very coarse inside packaging to a very smooth, I don't know how you call it, but a smooth foam type of packaging. So I think it'll make it more stable in shipping. So little things like that, they're flexible on what they're doing. So you just have to be able to email them and do it. Okay, Colin's got on the first. Okay, Colin has typed in, it's on the first page, and Colin, I'm not sure what you're talking about here, so if you want to elaborate on that, please. Okay. Cynthia says, I know of people who are not selling private label and they watch for other product price drops to purchase. Is that a good idea, doing online arbitrage, or could the price drop mean the particular item is not selling well? People change prices for all types of reasons. Maybe they're trying to gain market share. Maybe they're trying to do all types of things, but I'm not a fan of the arbitrage method. I know lots of people do it. I'm not anti-arbitrage. I think it's a job. I think it's hard to do. When you stop working, you stop making money. It's easier to get into, but I use the example that you're a farmer where you plant, you harvest, and the cycle never ends. Being a private label seller, you plant an orchard, and it produces year after year after year after year. So I'm not an expert on arbitrage. That's really night and day. But there's all kinds of things going on there, and they shouldn't be able to do that much if they do. But I've never had that issue where I've dropped the price. If you do everything the right way going in, you shouldn't have to drop the price. You never want to be the lowest price seller on an item. One of the things you got to realize too, Cynthia, I'm going to say some things there are a lot of idiots out there who do stupid things. They don't know what they're doing. They go on bad information, and bless their hearts, but those are the reasons why people like me and my students do well, because they don't know what they're doing. Why would anybody go in and buy a price drop on something and turn around and refund? This is stupid. Anyway, that's my, going off on a rant for a second, which it's so easy to do a private label product and do it the right way. You don't have to do it. It says, which autoresponder do you use? I presume you're talking about for reviews as opposed to like an email autoresponder, but I use Feedback Genius. I see no difference between Feedback Genius and Feedback 5. They basically do the same thing. It's like McDonald's, Burger King. It's the same thing. You just might have a preference. Lowe's, Home Depot kind of stuff. It does fine, as with Feedback 5. Okay, Rick says, Mark, you said you gave away your first 25 orders for a penny to establish some reviews. How do you go about doing that? Rick, you'll see in your seller dashboard under, I can't remember if it's under promotions, I think it's the tab. Again, all these things in the dashboard, you don't have to forgive me because I'm just trying to visualize it in my head. If I were there, I'd be able to see it, and you just got to click on it. But you have the capacity of setting up discounted coupons. You can set things up for a certain percentage off. You can set things up, for instance, if your product is $20 and you want to do a coupon for $19.99, you just go ahead and set all that up and fill out all of, it's like a little form you fill out, 4, 5, 6 line form you fill out, and then it gives you a code, and then you give that code to your buyer, and then they're able to purchase that for, in this example, $19.99 off or for a penny. Or if you want to sell it, set it for $19.01 off, and you sell it for 99 cents. That's however you want to do that. All right. Cynthia says, please go over your product checklist. I don't understand it. Well, let's touch on just a couple of the highlights. Let's see here. Let's see, where was it? All right. Basically, what you're going to do here, Cynthia, is you just want to go in and you want to add up your totals. For instance, if you've got a national name brand product that dominates the market or does not dominate the market, you want to score 5 points. In that, if you are in a particular market or price and the average sales price is between $15 and $60, in that you want to make sure you're not selling an inexpensive or an item that's too inexpensive. You won't have money to market if you're selling a $7, $8 item. There's not enough margin there. Expensive items are tough, but somewhere I think the sweet spot is between $15 and $60. So if you're looking at selling a product, for example, for like $42, then you'd give yourself 5 points. And then you just go through, and if the sales rank of the item that we talked about sales rank earlier is under 10,000, then of course you want to give yourself 4 points. And I will tell people seem to get very liberal on this. This is not meant to be an absolute. This is meant to be a guideline only. Just go down and go buy a product or evaluate your product and market. You've got your market here, then you've got your product that you evaluate. Go in, and if your product is durable and unlikely to break in shipping, you give yourself 5 points. If you're selling, I talked to somebody, it's been a while now, but they wanted to do whiskey glasses. And I basically talked him out of it and said, because you're going to get a lot of breakage just in shipping, that's not your fault. And that's the type of things people are going to write one-star reviews. And, oh, my product came damaged. It was broken. One-star review. Never mind the fact that the FedEx guy threw it off his truck or something. So, you have to think ahead and eliminate things that can go wrong. All of these things are on here for you to be able to use and to be able to add up and give you a point total. So, for instance, if you add up the ones you have, for instance, if this is like do 12 and the next 17 reviews have less than 100 reviews, which really I'm telling you you can get some reviews pretty easily. If most of the other sellers don't have a lot of reviews, you can get a reasonable amount of reviews and pass them very quickly. This is telling you there's opportunity in the market. If you find that this is the case, then you give yourself 5 points. And then you take all these, you add them up, and take your total here. And if you're, however you score here, whatever it adds up to be, if you're somewhere in this range, you probably got a pretty good product. Now, again, take what you see here and then use that to be intuitive with what you're doing. Okay? Let me scroll down here. Okay, click, 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 click. You actually had a lot of questions. Hope everybody's getting something out of this. Amazon selling is really not hard. There are lots of little subtle things. These are the types of things we go over in the courses in more detail. These are the types of things we talk about in member webinars in a little bit more detail here. Okay, we're running about an hour and 15 minutes, so we're going to go through a few more here because I just don't want this to run forever. Let me see if we can take a handful more. Okay, Samuel's got a question here. It says, "Hi, Mark. First of all, thanks for your time." Well, again, thank you and everybody for being here. I would like to know, how do you optimize the sales page? Well, if you go back and look at the page itself, let's see, where are we here? When you optimize the sales page, part of what you're looking for is trying to have good pictures. You want to have pictures that help convert. Realize you don't have a whole lot here for the customer or the potential buyer to see. I'm convinced that pictures are the most important thing. All right. So as you'll notice here, they've got what's called action shots. They're showing people using the product, which kind of gives that message of here's how it is and here's the quality of the product. They got actually here they're telling you the size of how to measure for your glove. To optimize here, you want to have your main keyword here in the top, where I guess he's going for silicone barbecue gloves. That's his main keyword. Then you want to have your other in your product description here. You want to have things that are benefits, not features. For instance, this is a great right to protect your hands and avoid accidents. That's the benefit of that. So, fit your hand well. So what? But to avoid protect your hand and avoid accidents, it's a good, well-written phrase. You've got some product descriptions down here where this is not particularly written very well, but Amazon is making people make some changes because the things have gotten pretty crazy there for a while. So I imagine they will come back. This is probably in transition, but right, again, some more features and benefit. This is a sales page. It's like sales copy, copywriting, because you're trying to convince somebody to do that. But to optimize your page, again, it's really not hard. Amazon, I think, gives you 5 different lines of keywords that you can use that you think people would most find your product. So by doing that, you enter those in when you set your product up, and then you try and put that in your title, and again, good pictures, good descriptions, and that's about it. And it's not a complicated thing. Okay. Because every time I click off, I lose where I was in the list of questions here. Okay, we've got a question here that says, "What is your return policy for your product?" I don't have anything written on the particular sales page, but Amazon has a product that's pretty easy to deal with, where if you want to return it, you can return it pretty much anytime, any way you want. I think I can't remember what the time limit is, but my returns are less than 1%. So it's not if something's that negligible, I don't fool with. But you'll see sometimes people offering lifetime guarantees and this and that, which is fine, but that's really not something you're supposed to have on there. And you will see things that you're not supposed to do on an Amazon listing. Amazon has millions of products, and they just can't police them all. But eventually, they'll catch up with them. It's like the speeder who, was going really fast one day, and somebody's going a couple miles over, gets a speeding ticket. Well, your time's coming sooner or later. It's kind of the same way with some of the wording. All right, Joycelyn says, "Thank you, Mark. You're making PL or private label with FBA seem very doable, and I truly thank you for that." Well, I thank you for your kind words, and it is part of the reason I started this. And I didn't answer a question earlier about what I make because I don't want to. I'm old enough. I'm old. I think it's crass to do that. So I'm not one of these 25-year-old little kids who says, "Look at me, I'm making $1 gazillion." But I've sold 6 businesses. I've retired twice. I'm very comfortable. And I do this because I want to. And quite frankly, if you're enough of an Amazon seller, you really don't have a whole lot to do during the day. And quite frankly, I was bored. And I wanted to be able to create a community of people who were similar, like-minded people, because I kind of missed some of the contact. So anyway, regardless, she says later on, it says, "I was very intimidated, but you have managed to simplify what seemed to be a very complicated process. Kudos to you." Well, again, thank you, Joycelyn, for the kind words. It's always rewarding when somebody appreciates that you're trying to help them. And thank you very, very much for that. Okay, Samuel mentioned, or has a question, says, "You mentioned that you had a product copied and then you called Amazon and they banned the other product. What exactly did the other product copy? I didn't quite get that. What they had done is they had counterfeited my product. And because, part of having a certain success is that people are going to try and pick away at you. But if you do everything the right way, and because I was brand registered, I was in I wouldn't say legal terms, that's not what I mean, but in Amazon terms, an Amazon way of doing things, because I had set things up in the brand registry, because they had my UPC code, because I had all these other things. They were trying to take the buy box on the right side. He was some little arbitrage guy, I'm sure, that thought he was being really clever. But, and there are people you just really want to reach through the screen sometimes and kill, and you can't do that. But, that's what he did. And counterfeiting, when somebody counterfeits, it's very easy to have things removed. Amazon doesn't like false claims, and they don't like counterfeits. They're open to a lot of everything else, but they don't like counterfeits. So that's exactly what I did. And because I was brand registered, I was able to prove to Amazon that I was the legal owner of that particular private label product. And if you do things the right way, you'll never have any issues. You might have somebody, you might have to have Amazon kind of take out hit with a switch every now and then, but you're not going to have any problems in the long run. Minor inconvenience along the way. Rick says, shipping, is there a way to ensure that you only have to send your entire shipment to one Amazon fulfillment center? Rick, if you have everything in one box, it's obviously a moot point. If you have multiple boxes, more times than not, they'll have you send it one East Coast, one West Coast, or wherever it might be. I do believe if you want to have everything go to one particular shipping area, I believe that you pay a service fee for that, and I don't know what that is because I've never done it. So, but I know of it, and I don't think it's cheaper to send it than the fee, which of course they're trying to entice you not to want to send everything to one place. So I think do a search in the area somewhere for multiple shipping or something. Like I said, that's not something I know exactly the answer to, and I don't want to tell you wrong, but I think it's a fee if you want to do that. Lisa says, what's a good packaging resource, or does the supplier give you options for this? Well, you can find graphic designers, and basically what you do is you say, you email the supplier and say, okay, what's your requirements, sizing, et cetera, and they'll email back and tell you, and then you give that to your graphics person, or if you want to do it yourself, either way, you send that back to them, and then they create the packaging like that. So it's really very, very straightforward. Lisa, there's nothing complicated here. Again, we're starting to run long on time, so let's see if I can take two more. Cynthia says, I hear that sellers are adding inserts in their products and packaging for the purchaser to receive when they open it up. Do you do that, and what sort of inserts could we use besides a normal discount or half-off coupon? I do that, Cynthia. I basically have a complete marketing funnel. One of my businesses kind of ties into one of the products I sell. So when they open the box, there's a web address that takes them to that page, which gives them an incentive. I get them on an email list, and then I can then take and then mail them back discounts on other products that relate to this one Amazon product. So I've kind of created a marketing funnel there. And it's a fairly sophisticated thing. It's not something you want to do day one, but by putting the insert in, the whole goal, of course, is to get them on an email address so you can market to them later. Okay, Maria's got a question here. I haven't seen one from her, so I'll answer that. It says, please spell the name of the software. Maria, I presume since we're only talking about Feedback Genius and Feedback 5, I presume that's what you're talking about, but it's just like it's just like Feedback, and then 5, F-I-V-E, and then Feedback Genius, like Feedback and then Genius. So Google that, and I'm sure both of those will come up. Okay. Quick one here says, do you only sell in Amazon US? From Samuel? Yes. It's easier for me to create a product since I have a review group for my group, and it's easier for me just to launch a new product than to send it somewhere else. And I'm looking into that. And I may expand in that, but not right now. Samuel says he lives in China. Yes, and Canton is the English word of it. The town is Guangzhou, and I can't even begin to pronounce that. I'm not going to even try. But that's the it is. It's the Canton Fair, which I think it's cantonfair.org.cn, which I guess is China. But yeah, that's in April. Off of that, and if you're going to be there, like I said, I'm trying to get my visas and everything worked out now to be able to go. If you're going to be there, maybe we can just hang out for a bit. Okay, I'm going to take one more here. Okay, April's got a question. Do you have experience with suppliers from countries other than China? April, I do all of my stuff in China. I'm very comfortable dealing with them. I've got a process down. I've got a system down. I've got my reviews down. I'm not adverse to doing things anywhere else. There's no reason why if you found something locally, if you wanted to take and private label that product, you could certainly do it locally, I mean within your own country. You could do that very easily as well. So, it's all, I mean, what I have here and what I have for my students is a process. I've systematized everything that I did through getting started and getting going, through the mistakes I made, the successes I had, and I streamlined it and I put it in a process. So all of my students who have come into this get everything that I have done, in that. So, whether it's finding products that we talk about or basically just take you through the whole step. So I guess it's time to wrap this up, and I just want to thank everybody for being here, but also too for those of you who are getting started or would like to be part of our community or would like to be able to get part of our reviews, I encourage you to come here to the FBAHeadstart.com page. You'll be able to see, and it'll tell you who the training is for. Again, we looked at this a little bit earlier, but what some of the modules are included in the course. Discounts on photography for you. Again, our Facebook group is, in essence, has really turned into a mastermind type of scenario. It has become so active that it's really, I had somebody tell me not long ago that was worth more than the amount of the course. And they really love the course. They've already launched 2 products. In this, if you come in and you get the course, we got 2 options. You got a VIP member and then a Prime member. If you come in the course, you're going to get all the complete training modules, all my outsourcing and resourcing guides, all the softwares and the different things that are out there. Admission to the Facebook group, $100 off on a photographer that I use who is outstanding. He's also an Amazon seller, so he knows exactly, he's been through my course and knows exactly what to do. Our live coaching calls, which we have those once a month, and then all the updates we're doing. I actually have 2 versions. One, I guess, is the VIP member, which is only $297. The Prime member is $397. When all this came out, there was a course out there called Amazing Selling Machine. It was $3,500. And I'm sitting here thinking, gosh, there's no reason a course ought to be that much. And again, I wanted to make this affordable because I'm a full-time Amazon seller, not an internet marketer. So I wanted to be able to put this together to help people be able to do this and to be able to have a community as well. So again, you got 2 different types of prices here. You've got the $297, which is the VIP, and the $397. The Prime member is we spend half an hour talking. And on that, people come in and want to validate their products. We talked a little bit about coaching earlier, I think, this evening. But in this, whatever it is to be able to whatever you need help on. I mean, I've had people do everything from help them with photography to optimizing their page to do product research, all types of things. I typically do it a whole lot more, but I throw this in because I'm trying to help you as a course. So with that said, again, $30, guarantee 30-day stuff. Nobody ever uses that, but it's there if you need it. All these things that, again, if you're interested and you're ready and you think this is something that you want to do, I welcome you in part of our community. The things that we have gone over, some of the other free information I have on the blog is very detailed as well. If you don't need it, then by all means, I hope you get some benefit out of what we're doing. But if you'd like to have somebody work with you and you'd like to have that community of people, which I'm starting to enjoy building some friendships there and getting to know some people in the group and watching people grow and prosper as sellers. So if you're interested in doing something like that, very much like to have you come join us as a community. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for coming in this evening. I hope this was was helpful very, very much to you. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get to everybody's question, but about an hour and a half is about all I can talk without going out. So regardless, thank you again. And again, I wish everybody the best of luck. Talk to everybody soon.